Hi guys, it's Jen, and it is time for my September wrap up. This one won't be as long as the previous 2 months, so stick around to see what books I read in September and what I thought of them. Hey y'all, it's Jen, and welcome back to my channel for Inklings. Today I am doing my September wrap up, and as always, I have my handy dandy bullet journal right here with me so I can remember what I thought about these books. Okay, so the first book that I read in the month of September was Fish in a Tree by Linda Molly Hunt. I gave this book 4 stars. This is a middle grade book about a girl who has dyslexia, but nobody has figured this out until 6th grade. And her teacher is pregnant and goes on maternity leave, and a new teacher comes in, and he is the one that figures it out. It is, by the beginning of the book, this poor girl is so distraught. She's so disruptive in class because she is terrified of having to read out loud. Everybody makes fun of her. And all of this, and then by the end of the book she is reading or beginning to, and her self-esteem is better and she's made friends, and it is just the power of what looking at your strengths and looking at your weaknesses and realizing that just because something doesn't work for you doesn't mean you're stupid. And that's kind of the fish in the tree analogy, is that if you judged a fish by its ability to climb a tree, everyone would think it was stupid. But fish aren't stupid, they just can't climb trees because they're water creatures. So that was kind of the premises behind it. I thought it was good. It's a middle grade book, gave it 4 stars. Okay, so this next book that I read was The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I gave this one 4 stars. This is the second book in the series. What was the first one? I can't even remember the name of the first book all of a sudden. Anyway, it's the second book in the series. It is a high fantasy. I believe it's considered adult high fantasy, but the players in the story are pretty young. They're teenager-ish, young adult-ish, but I do believe this is considered adult high fantasy. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. There were some twists and turns. There were some characters that I was glad to see return and come back, and I'm interested to see how the story is going to carry out because it left on quite a big cliffhanger. Like I said, I really enjoy this story. The first one was a 5-star read for me, and the second one is 4 stars. So the next book that I listened to, because most of these were audiobooks from my library, was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I gave this one 4 stars. It is a adult contemporary. It was, what was it? A brother and sister of a bride and groom who did not eat the fish at the wedding reception. Everybody at the wedding reception got sick, including the bride and groom. The bride and groom had a trip planned to Hawaii, I think it was Hawaii. And so they insisted that their brother and sister take it in their place, so they pretended to be married. It was interesting. It was good. I really did enjoy it. I didn't expect the twist at the end, but then the next book that I read was Geekerella by Ashley Poston, and I really enjoyed this. This is a Cinderella retelling, and it involves around a sci-fi TV show and the Comic-Con that goes with it. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I guess I highly recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. The next book that I listened to was Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. Piccolo. I don't know how to say her last name, guys. I always get it wrong. Anyway, I gave this one 4 stars. This, I had some issues with this story. but I can't really put my finger on exactly what it was. One of them is, though, that this is a race-related book. It is about a black nurse who is told that she can't wait or take care of this white baby whose parents are white supremacists, Nazi, Ku Klux Klan people. And ultimately the baby dies while she is the one overseeing the baby, even though she has been told, do not touch this baby. And so she's accused of murder, and it goes through this, and it was really difficult to read or listen to, especially the parts with the white supremacists. There's a twist at the end, but I won't get into that. But I gave it 4 stars because I do think the story was told well, and I do think it's a story that happens a lot in today's society. And I think that it is hard. It talks a lot about racism and perceived white racism, and how there's, like, people don't realize they're racist because we're not blatantly racist. White people is who I'm talking about. But we have those underlying prejudices because we're white. So, yeah. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's an interesting book to read. It is written by a white author, so it is not own voices. But I still do think she did a good job telling the story. So I wouldn't necessarily discount it. But the next book I listened to was The Princess and the Fangirl by Ashley Poston, which was a continuation of the series. It's I guess, duology from Geekarella. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this one too. 4 stars. Since it's a sequel, I'm not going to really talk about it much, but it involves different characters. It follows, the 2 main characters are different, and but the other characters from Geekarella are still present. The next book that I listened to on audio, and I was so excited to find it on audio, was When Pride Still Mattered, The Life of Vince Lombardi by David Moranis. I have been working on this book for years and years and years. I've only ever, while reading it, gotten a couple of chapters in, just because it's dense and it's a nonfiction, it's a biography. And even though I love Vince Lombardi and I love the Green Bay Packers, it's just dense material. I gave it 4 stars. There was a lot of football stuff, and I like football, but there was a lot of football stuff in this that I didn't really care about, and I thought distracted from the story a little bit. I also was it surprised me when I was hearing names like Bart Starr. I didn't realize that Bart Starr started as the quarterback for Vince Lombardi when Vince Lombardi took the team over. And then he also coached, who was it when he coached the Giants? Frank. Hang on, I'm gonna find it. I'm not gonna worry about it. It's a real prominent. He was Frank Gifford. I knew I'd think of it. Talk show host at the time. So, I pulling those players in, and this took place in the 60s. So I don't know why I was surprised by it, but it did kind of surprise me when every time Frank Gifford was mentioned, or Bart Starr and all that. So, like I said, I really enjoyed it. Glad I finally got to it. Glad it was on audio, because this would have been hard to get through otherwise. And then the final book that I read this month was The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. I started reading this, and I read it, and I'd read a few pages, and I just was not getting through this in physical form. So I switched over to the audiobook of it from Scribd, and finally was able to finish it. The first half of this was just kind of mediocre for me. There's some good parts. I've got some things outlined. on it, parts highlighted, but I only gave this one 3.5 stars, and I think it was probably because the relationship in it kind of hits a little too close to home with being involved with someone who doesn't do commitments or doesn't do girlfriends or doesn't do long term, that kind of thing. That's been a pattern with me, and I think this probably hit a little too close to home. I thought this story was well written. I thought it was slow at times, but it wasn't bad. It's an adult contemporary romance. It has some sex scenes in it that, even those though, I didn't find to be extremely graphic. It was a lot of fade to black kind of things going on, not very smutty. But I enjoyed it on audio once I got to it, but it felt like it was taking me forever to read this book. And I found that I wasn't necessarily wanting to pick it up. But the premises of this is this, what's her name? Alexa meets Drew when Drew is staying in the same hotel. Her sister, Alexa's sister, staying in. Alexa's going up to meet her sister, and her and Drew get stuck in the elevator. And Drew is like, I need to. He's like, I got this wedding this weekend. Why don't you be my date? It's kind of how it was. So it's kind of a fake dating scenario. So yeah, there's that. And that's it. That's all I read. 8 books. Only 8 books. I've had a lot going on, so I didn't get as many books read as I did in the previous 2 months. And it is what it is. I did have a good reading month. Most of my books were 4 stars, with the exception of the one 3.5 star. So can't complain too much. But that's it. So let me know if you have read any of these books. What did you think of them? Did you have the same experience I did? At this point, you guys know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button over there if you've enjoyed this video. It really helps me out a lot. And go and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to me. I would greatly appreciate that. If you don't have anything related to the books or the video to comment down below, just simply leave me an emoji or say hi. That way I can still interact with you in the comments. And until next month, when we see what I read in October, I will talk to you later. Bye.